before I get into talking football, I'll make a quick comment. The room being a little light today and Brian Shawn not being here, so wanted to make sure I've had an opportunity to visit with him on the phone, but make sure that I extend NDSU football, NDSU athletic department's thought and thinking about him and his family as he goes through this time. But I can't wait to have him back in all of Bison Athletics. I know my first 5 or 6 years here, every Thursday afternoon, him and Lee on the phone. That was my routine, and so I'll be excited to get him back. And Brian, if you're listening, you can call me any Thursday right now. So, game week. I can't imagine, or I can't tell you how many players I've had. Coach, it's finally game week again, and super excited. And I think they're even more excited because it's game one, and there's a game two, there's a game three, there's a game four. There's some routine to it. I know our players have been extremely excited about the routine that we've created for them. You've heard me talk about at length. We're trying to work smarter than harder. We're trying to have a real good understanding of what the workload is right now, because we are going to try to put 2 seasons in a calendar year. But no one's going to feel sorry for the Bison, and our expectations are that we're going to go out there and perform to a high level. If that's good enough to win, I hope so. But we're going to make sure that we're attacking the process and trusting the process with some of our inexperienced kids this week. But we're looking forward to it. And it's a unique challenge. Youngstown State, Coach Phillips has been the head coach for an entire year and has yet to coach in a football game. And so I got to believe he is excited as anyone to see what he has. There's very few names that look familiar on the 2 deep. So it's going to be one of those games that we're going to have to do a tremendous job of adjusting as the game unfolds. But knowing Youngstown State and the tradition they have, I know those kids are going to come here ready to play. At this time, I'll open it up to questions.
What do you expect a quarterback?
I would anticipate, I think we'll see 2 different quarterbacks during the course of the game. I know they have the Craycroft and Mark Wade, both young men that we saw a year ago when we went out to Youngstown. And I would anticipate that we'll see them both at some point. I think they're both slightly a little bit different than one another. I think in 2019 the game plan kind of forced them to be the same player, but we're going to have to be, like I said, we have to be able to adjust and be adaptable during the course of the game.
Is that do you know the schemes? I mean, do you have any idea what?
Well, we've tried to do the best we can with reading coaches' bios and going back and pulling film from every stop that they have. I think right now, this was something that I noticed this morning. I think there's 63 full games in the Youngstown State cut-up right now. The number of different places that the head coach has been, coordinators have been. We've had time, and so we've taken advantage of it. But that doesn't mean we're going to be spot on. That goes back to my comment earlier. We're going to have to be ready to adjust and adapt as the game unfolds and as we kind of see how they want to attack us.
In a game and a season like this where it's so hot, how important is it to do what you guys do well?
That's been the number one statement we've continually talked about, into the fact that the team that'll beat us first is going to be us. We'll beat ourselves first. If we can't establish the run game, if we can't play defense the way we want to play, it doesn't matter what other teams do. They're going to find ways to, or if we can't win the explosive play battle, it'll be a struggle for us on Saturday. So we haven't changed any of the expectations or any of the processes that we're involved with. We're still trying to play as sound of football as we can. And from an offensive standpoint, again, don't know what they're going to show up in from a front. Well, we better have plays that we feel comfortable against 4 down and 3 down. We better have concepts that are good against 2 high and single high as we move into this game, and then we can adjust from there.
You've talked the last couple of weeks or so about how you're going to have to approach this season playing a lot of different guys with 2 football seasons in 1 year. Are you guys ready to kind of set the whole depth chart free in this game, or do you think you're still going to be working into using all of that depth just yet?
I think we'll grow into it. I do think you'll see some unfamiliar names and some younger players helping us in special teams, but I think that is an area over the course of the years that I've been here, something that we've routinely done anyway, where you start to see guys kind of cut their teeth in special teams or earn their stripes early in their career. Well, this year it may be more younger players or inexperienced players getting their first actual game reps on special teams. But come a couple weeks from now, I'm hoping that other kids, just more practice, more understanding of what we're doing schematically will help them. I think the other thing that helps is during the first 15 days, our offense has their entire playbook in. Our defense has their entire playbook. When you can start to narrow down just a game plan or maybe just a phase of a game plan for an individual, maybe he's going to be in a sub package, well, life gets a lot easier than having to know everything. I know I used to work for a guy who said, if you try to know it all, you know nothing. And so that's the last thing we want our kids doing. They need to understand just what their jobs are and move forward and be able to execute.
Don't want to miss this opportunity to ask you about Zeb. When we talked to you before your spring camp kicked off, you said you've seen a lot of great leadership from him. Without any live action reps or anything like that, how have you seen him continue to grow into that leadership role and to be that captain for your team as he gets ready to take his first snap?
Well, I think the first thing, just at practice, you see positive energy. You see the starting quarterback trying to help other players. He's another coach on the football field. He's talking, immediately plays over, and he's talking with Coach Edberg about what he saw, what information he took from that play, good or bad, and put it in his Rolodex. Hopefully that the next time he sees that same look, he can react positively. I think off the field, tremendous leader. Guys gravitate towards him. But part of that, anytime you have the title quarterback, especially QB1, there's a tendency for kids to gravitate towards you. But it's great when you have a leader that's in that spot for you.
Yeah, what's Phoenix's status right now?
At this time right now, he is running, lifting, doing everything but changing direction. Will not play.
You anticipate him playing this spring?
Keeping my fingers crossed.
I want to ask about Cole Jacob. You mentioned him all the time last
Yep.
fall about his blocking ability.
Yep.
He has that catch that blows up virtually online in practice. Describe what he means, now also a captain, what he means for your wide receiver room. He's the only senior in that room.
Well, he's an extension of Coach Pauly. He's an extension of Coach Roll in our offensive staff. He's been around. He's done everything. He's played Z. He's played inside receiver. He's played X. He's on every special team. Thus, why it was an easy decision to make him another captain, especially when you're a senior. But I think what he means more to the program is probably the most important thing. He's everything that's good with Bison football. And he's done a tremendous – I got to recruit him out of high school, and so you can tell I have a little bit of a soft spot for him. He has put a ton of hours and time in, and I'm looking for big things out of him, not only from leadership but for productivity as well.
How do you balance getting guys rest in games and, I guess, winning games? You're talking about playing more players and getting young guys in the game.
Yeah, we kind of alluded to it a little bit, trying to get them in on special teams, take off some of the reps. The kickoff coverage, that's a 50-yard sprint. Punt defense is the longest play in college football, lasts anywhere between 10 to 12 seconds. If we can find someone who can fill in for those roles, I think that's critical. I think where we're trying to maximize our rest and minimize our workload is more in practice. Is where we can do. I mean, we're showing up on Saturday. I mean, not everything's fair. Not everybody plays on Saturday. We're showing up trying to win.
Those two defensive ends that you didn't have available to you last fall against UCA. What is Spencer's anticipated workload and kind of what he can bring to you guys? And then Braden Thomas is choice.
Both those guys are going to play until I get tired. Okay, those guys are really good football players and very mirror one another. Spence is weighing he's 280. I think we put him at 280, probably 278 on here. I think he's afraid to get over that 280 mark, but it's fun to have him back. Fun to see how good he can be when he's healthy, when he can cut it loose. Braden's done a tremendous job. Again, a young man from Bismarck, had a tremendous career down at Minnesota State Mankato, has come in here and just blended right in. Coach Buddha's done a tremendous job of getting him up to speed, and he's going to play a bunch. That's why he came here, was to play a bunch and play for the Bison.
Do you think the pandemic and postponing the fall is taking attention away a little bit of the 38 in a row?
I don't know. I don't think about it very often, so I'm not sure if that has.
What do you see from the depth at running back? We have so many folks.
I think we have good depth there. That's one of those positions that you've seen us when we've gotten really thin on depth too before. I can go back to probably 2017, 2018, where we got extremely thin. That's one of those positions where we do want to try to maximize our efficiency by minimizing our workload at times. And so Coach Bashorner's done a tremendous job of keeping track of who's getting reps, what kind of reps, how many special teams we're on for each of those kids, because everyone wants to use them on special teams, but they all have a skill set that's pretty dynamic. It's great to have Seth Wilson back. All the things that got everyone so excited about when the last time he was playing, you see him in practice, and he just continually getting more and more confidence, getting back into that football shape. Kobe Johnson, the maturity level, 2019, that was freshman Kobe. He's put on some weight. He's stronger. He's more talented. DJ Stewart continues to impress. Dom Ganella, TK Marshall had a little bit of an injury, but will be back shortly. There's others that I probably haven't mentioned, but we continue to have a stable, full, and some depth at that position.
Do you notice anything physically with Seth, obviously coming back from the ACL? Is he even further along than he was in the fall, or pretty much where he was?
No, I think he's probably further along. I think he's continued to. Seth's one of those athletes that really is in tune with how he feels. From a wellness standpoint, from an injury standpoint, he's trying to do everything he can to make sure he can get as many reps in as possible. He understands that's a slippery slope sometimes, getting the appropriate amount of practice reps versus then being able to execute on a game day.
Curious to see who the new quote-unquote stars are going to be of this team, because you lost a lot. Who's going to be those guys that
I'm waiting to see too. You know what? We can talk about it on Sunday afternoon. I think there'll be. Jeff, I'm not trying to sidestep your question. I just think because of some of the inexperienced players that we're going to have, I think week to week it could be someone different. And I don't want to put that load on any of those guys right now at this point.
Coach, you guys, between coaches and players, you've had significant turnover on the offensive line. Do you anticipate that you've got a solid 5, or should we see 6, 7 guys working on Sunday?
I feel comfortable going 7. Potentially 8, depending on the situation during the game. But you're exactly right. We talked about the last time I was here, the pandemic hit. We had an 8-game spring schedule. Guys had to make a decision between football and life. And a lot of them already, Quinn Allo, he's making more money than I ever thought about at 23 years old right now, married. Things couldn't slow down. They had other obligations, other things going. And so Carson Schuning, the same thing, out there working, stopped by practice the other day, miss them dearly. But they were all tremendous football players. Coach Blazik helped our program. He did exactly what I hoped. I was appreciative that he came from Rutgers to NDSU. Would I have loved to have him for 2 seasons? Of course. But if we'd ended up playing in the fall like many of us in here wanted, it probably wouldn't have been as unique when he left. The timing was it's never good to lose anyone. The timing of this one made it a little bit tougher. But Dan Larson's done a tremendous job, and we haven't missed a beat. And that was our end game when we made that decision.
What have you told the players about any potential disruptions? The way things have gone in sports, there seems to be
Yep.
games that have been canceled or postponed. How are you approaching that?
What we've talked about with our kids is the only thing we can control is us. And so we can control our health. We can control making sure we do everything we can to mitigate the chance of having multiple houses fall under contact tracing. I think we've had one positive test since roughly Halloween. Our kids have done an excellent job of following all the things in the dome at practice. But other teams can't really affect what's going on there. So no different than if it were a normal season. We're going to take care of what we can take care of and move on.
How many times have you tested?
Right now we're testing 72 hours before games.
Matt, you described what you think your emotions will be like at 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon in February, and you're playing a
I think the 2 o'clock in February will probably not matter. I think the fact that we're going to come out in the dome, there's going to be fans there. I think that'll be another huge piece to it. And we're playing a good football team, and I think we talked the routine, the consistency is getting back, getting closer to normal, a long ways from normal, but at least closer.